Hello, and welcome to Miss Hope's Reading Hour. So glad to be here with you all this evening of this Christmas Eve. Yesterday we were on, it was Christmas Eve, and now it is Christmas Eve in about 3 hours. It will be Christmas. And so I wanted to come on and read some stories with you guys because I know that there will be many young people going to bed tonight waiting for Christmas to come in the morning, to wake up and see all their presents under the tree if you have not seen them already. And if you've seen them already, then you get to go down, rip things open, and you get to have a wonderful, what I call Christmas crazy. It's happened at my school before, where they have a whole lot of presents for, especially the littles, and then there's just paper and bags everywhere. So that is what will be happening in the next a little less than 3 hours. So my friends, are you excited? Parents, are you excited for your children to see their presents? My young ones, are you excited to see what you've gotten? And for everybody, are you excited to give something to someone tomorrow? I'm excited. I always like the reaction from the giving. That is probably like my favorite part because in my family, we kind of strategize and go behind each other's backs like, what do you think he likes? What do you think she needs? And no one ever really knows what they're getting. We give suggestions, but we never really know. But also, my friends, think about those who may not be getting anything tomorrow. Think about those who are wondering what they're going to eat tomorrow. Say a prayer for them. And maybe if there's any way that you can give or volunteer, make sure to take every opportunity to do that. So, my friends, let me tell you about our books that we are going to read this evening for our bedtime to Christmas time, okay? Because I want for my young ones to hear some stories before they go to bed. And if they're already in bed, my parent friends, teacher friends, you can, while you're preparing for tomorrow, wink, wink, while you're preparing for tomorrow, you can listen to some relaxing stories. A classic, which I've been waiting to read this ever since I got the book. But I'm like, I gotta wait till Christmas time to read it. But my other two books are repeats. Let me tell you why. Because of course, Miss Hope's Reading Hour is always going on some type of ordering, spending frenzy to buy books. But the two books that I did order for this evening, they did not come. But never fear, the books that I have for their replacements are perfect replacements, okay? Ooh, something on my lip. Anywho, let us see the books. So, if you saw the teaser, the first book is about thank yous. So, for the last maybe 2.5 weeks, we have been doing 12 days of donations. So, for anyone who has made a donation to one of the organizations we highlighted, Miss Hope's Reading Hour would like to say thank you and to remind you that not just around the holidays, all year long, people and organizations need help to fight food insecurity and hunger. So our repeat book, which I do love this book, is called The Last Stop on Market Street. So we're going to read this one for our thank you. And this book is by Matt De La Pena, pictures by Christian Robinson. So this is our thank you. Our next book, which is the classic, can't wait to read this one, is How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. I've been waiting to read this book. So, remember my really big Dr. Seuss book that had like 13 stories in it? This story's in there too. But this one's a little easier to handle because it's much thinner than that big book. So, we're going to read How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And for our last book, it's not quite a song, but I don't know. Maybe by the end, there'll be a song. We'll see. So, our next book is, since we're going into the new year, I was like, what book can I read that would be a great repeat? And I thought that this one would be perfect. What do you do with a chance? I'm going to read this one too. This book is by Kobe Yamada, illustrated by Mae Bessem. So we're going to read this repeat too. All right, my friends, let us get into our first. See, I almost picked up The Grinch Who Stole Christmas because I'm so excited to read it. So we're going to do our thank you book first. And since it's called The Last Stop on Market Street, and we are inside, we're in the bus and bustling on the street, how about we have some street sounds? How about that? Look at that. We're on the street because we're about to get on the bus. Now, my friends, let's give our disclaimer, shall we? So, as much as we love the music that we hear on Miss Hope's Reading Hour and these beautiful, wonderful books that we read, unfortunately, Miss Hope's Reading Hour and Miss Hope don't own any of the rights to it, but they are here for your listening and reading enjoyment. Okay? Now, our first book, Last Stop on Market Street by Matt De La Peña. CJ pushed through the church doors, skipped down the steps. The outside air smelled like freedom, but it also smelled like rain, which freckled CJ's shirt and dripped down his nose. He ducked under his Nana's umbrella, saying, "How come we gotta wait for the bus in all this wet?" "Trees get thirsty too," his Nana told him. "Don't you see that big one drinking through a straw?" CJ looked for a long time, but never saw a straw. Move it over. From the bus stop, he watched water pool on flower petals, watched rain patter against the windshield of a nearby car. His friend Colby climbed in, gave CJ a wave, and drove off with his dad. "Nana, how come we don't got a car?" That is a good question. Boy, what do we need a car for? We got a bus that breathes fire. And old Mr. Dennis, who always has a trick for you. The bus creaked to a stop in front of them. It sighed and sagged, and the doors swung open. "What's that I see?" Mr. Dennis asked. He pulled a coin from behind CJ's ear and placed it in his palm. Nana laughed her deep laugh and pushed CJ along. They sat right up front. The man across the way was tuning a guitar. An old woman with curlers had butterflies in a jar. Nana gave everyone a great big smile and a good afternoon. Sure, CJ did the same. The bus lurched forward and stopped, lurched forward and stopped. Nana hummed as she knit. How come we always gotta go here after church? CJ said. Miguel and Colby never have to go nowhere. I feel sorry for those boys, she told him. They'll never get a chance to meet Bobo or the sunglass man. And I hear Trixie got herself a brand new hat. CJ stared out the window, feeling sorry for himself. He watched cars zip by on either side, watched a group of boys hop curves on bikes. A man climbed aboard with a spotted dog. CJ gave up his seat. How come that man can't see? Boy, what do you know about seeing? Nana told him. Some people watch the world with their ears. That's a fact. Their noses, too, the man said, sniffing the air. That's a mighty fine perfume you're wearing today, ma'am. Nana squeezed the man's hand and laughed her deep laugh. Two older boys got on next. CJ watched as they moved on by and stood in the back. Sure wish I had one of those, he said. Nana set down her knitting. What for? You got the real live thing sitting across from you. Why don't you ask the man if he'll play us a song? CJ didn't have to. The guitar player was already plucking strings and beginning to sing. To feel the magic of music, the blind man answered. I like to close my eyes. Nana closed hers too. So did CJ and the spotted dog. And in the darkness, the rhythm lifted CJ out of the bus, out of the busy city. He saw sunset colors swirling over crashing waves, saw a family of hawks slicing through the sky, saw the old woman's butterflies dancing free in the light of the moon. CJ's chest grew full, and he was lost in the sound, and the sound gave him the feeling of magic. The song ended, and CJ opened his eyes. Everyone on the bus clapped, even the boys in the back. Nana glanced at the coin in CJ's palm. CJ dropped it in the man's hat. Last stop on Market Street, Mr. Dennis called. CJ looked around as he stepped off the bus. Crumbling sidewalks and broken down doors, graffiti tagged windows and boarded up stores. He reached for his Nana's hand. How come it's always so dirty over here? She smiled and pointed to the sky. Sometimes when you're surrounded by dirt, CJ, you're a better witness for what's beautiful. CJ saw the perfect rainbow arching over their soup kitchen. He wondered how Nana always found beautiful where he never even thought to look. He looked all around them again, at the bus rounding the corner out of sight, and the broken street lamp still lit up bright, and the stray cat shadows moving across the wall. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he said, "Oh, wait a minute. Did I miss something?" No. When he spotted their familiar faces in the window, he said, "I'm glad we came." Sunglass Man, Trixie in her new hats, Bobo. He thought his Nana might laugh her deep laugh, but she didn't. She patted him on the head and told him, "Me too, CJ. Now come on." Can you find CJ and his Nana? Whoop. We're serving at the soup kitchen. The end. Last Stop on Market Street by Matt De La Pena, Christian Robinson. I picked this book as the thank you because, of course, all of the organizations that were highlighted for the 12 days of donations were all organizations that dealt with hunger and food insecurity. And a lot of those organizations help those who are homeless as well. So, Miss Hope's Reading Hour, and of course, Miss Hope, wants to thank anyone and everyone who, through watching Hour, donated to even one of the organizations that were highlighted. Thank you so much. And I hope that you can somehow be able to see how your donation made a difference. Okay, now let's go on to the next book, which I'm excited to read, How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Let's change the ambiance, shall we? Let's change it. Let us change it. How the Grinch Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss. Now, y'all know with Dr. Seuss, we've experienced this before. Miss Hope can get a little tongue tied, so don't you laugh at me, okay? This is a Random House book. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was two sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his grave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, "I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming." For tomorrow, he knew. What did he know? Let's see. All the Who girls and boys would wake up bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise, 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 noise. The one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. When the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast. They'd feast and they'd feast and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. I always wondered what that whole roast beast must taste like. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing, sing, sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? He's got to figure out how he stops it. And then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat. He chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Like, wait, dude, I'm a dog, okay? Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks and a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up!" And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care when he came to the first little house on the square. "This is stop number 1, the old Grinch Claus hissed, and climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. "Sir, what are you doing?" Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could a Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue where the little Who's stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." Oh boy. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, trickles, popcorns, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. And the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Oh, now, sir, you're wrong, sir, you're wrong. You're wrong. Then he slunk to the icebox. Just a second. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's Feast. He took the Who Pudding. He took the Roast Beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash. Golly, sir. So you're just gonna take it? Pages. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney, and now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. Oh, you're gonna take the tree too. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove. Then he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast. He saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? Question, Mr. Santa Claus. But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie and thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side, so I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. But his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head, and he got up, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Oh, sir. Oh, wrong way. Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls, he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Hey, sir. Even poor mouse can't eat. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. And then has the nerve to tip his hat. It was 15:15 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze. When he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings and trappings. Took everything. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet. He rode with his load to the tiptoe to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the Who's. he was grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two, and then the Who's down in Whoville will cry, boo, boo. Her, you are quite grinchy. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low. Then it started to grow. What was the sound that he heard? Let's see. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so. It was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. What? And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he what? And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. The end. I love this story. I love the movie. I'm so glad I got to read this story for you all this evening. So, the Grinch found out, just like many of us find out a lot of times, that Christmas is more than just the gifts, more than just getting things and having stuff. That a lot of times it's about being with the people that you love and knowing that no matter what happens, as long as you all are together, that you can have the love and the spirit of Christmas and peace, no matter what type of gifts you've gotten or haven't gotten. That's why I love that story. And I encourage you to remember that yourselves, that though you may be waiting for gifts in the morning, though parents are preparing for tomorrow, preparing trees and all the special things that they want their children to experience, even if it isn't quite the way that you remember every year. As long as you have the people that you love and you can all be together and show that love together and have that unity, that is the spirit of Christmas. Okay? Now, my friends, let us get to our last book. Since we are so close to the new year, and unfortunately, my books did not come, I thought that this would be a great book to read. What to Do with a Chance. Because a new year brings us new opportunities, new chances. So let's answer the question. What do you do with a chance? This book is by Kobe Yamada, illustrated by May Besson. Okay. One day I got a chance. It just seemed to, it acted like it knew me, as if it wanted something. I didn't know why it was here. What do you do with a chance? I wondered. What do you do with a chance? It fluttered around me. It brushed up against me. It circled me as if it wanted me to grab it. I started to reach for it, but I was unsure and pulled back. And so it flew away. I thought about it a lot. I wished I had taken my chance. I realized I had wanted it, but I still didn't know if I had the courage. When another chance came around, I wasn't so sure, but I decided to try. I went to reach for it, but I missed and fell. I was embarrassed. I felt foolish. It seemed like everyone was looking at me. I decided I never wanted to feel that way again. So after that, whenever a chance came along, I ignored it. And the more I ignored them, the less they came around. Until one day, I noticed I hadn't seen a chance in quite a while. It was as if they had all disappeared. I started to worry. What if I don't get another chance? I know I acted like I didn't care, but the truth was, I did. I still wanted to take a chance, but I was afraid. I wasn't sure if I would ever be brave enough. Then I thought, maybe I don't have to be brave all the time. Maybe I just need to be brave for a little while. At the right, I realized it was up to me. I promised myself that if I ever got another chance, I wasn't going to hold back. If I got another chance, I was going to be ready. Then One seemingly ordinary day, I saw something shining far off in the distance. Is it possible, I hoped? Could this be my chance? I had to find out. I ran as hard and as fast as I could toward it. I don't know how to explain it, but the second I let go of my feet, I was full of excitement. It wasn't that I know I was no longer afraid, but now my excitement was bigger than my fear. As I got closer, I could see that this was a really huge chance. But this time, I was ready. As it came by, I reached out and grabbed it. I held on with all my might. It felt so good to soar, to fly, to be free. I now see that when I hold back, I miss out. And I don't want to miss out. There's just so much I want to see and do and discover. So, what do you do with a chance? You take it because it just might be the start of something incredible. The end. So, just to let you all know, I fell in love with these books. These What Do You Do With? I fell in love with them. So much so I had to get all of them. I think there may be one more that I haven't gotten. What do you do with a problem? What do you do with a chance? There's one called Maybe. There's another one that I have that I don't quite remember, but I think I have them all except for one. But I love that story, especially since we're coming to near the end of this year. This year has been like no other year that many of us have ever experienced, whether we're young ones or older young ones like me. Okay. Um, it's been a year that we never experienced before. And many of us have a chance for a new year. And I just encourage you that though this year was kind of scary and kind of unpredictable, and we didn't know how things were going to pan out, that you try to stay positive and know that there's still chances that we can all take, and that if we let our excitement and the opportunity be bigger than our, maybe, definitely, incredible things can happen. So I encourage you during this holiday season and getting up to 2021, everyone, my young ones, um, my older young ones, my friends, my parent friends, teacher friends, parent teacher friends, everyone, know that anything is possible. Even when things even when things seem like they will never turn out right, there's always chances that you can take. And I just wanted to encourage you with that story, to know that even when things seem hard, even when it seems like nothing will turn out the way you need it to, know that when you are kind to people, when you are giving, when you encourage someone else, those things come back to you. And you never know. Sometimes your biggest chance comes when you are helping someone else. Sometimes that's when your biggest chances come. Because the times when you think that no one sees you, someone definitely sees you when you're working to help someone else. And trust me, that doesn't just go for older young ones. That goes for you too, my young ones. When someone sees you helping your brother or sister, even in virtual school, when your teachers and instructors or classroom assistants see you helping one of your friends in a breakout room where you think nobody can see you. You're like, yeah, let me help you, or you help someone with an answer. Someone sees that kindness, and that could be just your chance. And we don't always see how chances pan out. Not always, but when you take that chance, maybe it might not be this year or next year or the year after that, but sometimes those people will come back to you and say, thank you. I needed that right at that moment. You are a great friend. You are a great helper. You are a great son. You are a great daughter. You are just an all-around great human being. And sometimes those chances come just so that in those low times when you feel bad, you can remember someone sees me, someone loves me, and I matter. Okay? Now, my friends, the book the book that I wanted to read for you all that did not come today, it actually was a book that showed the representation of a song. And it's so funny that in the first two books, they talked about music. It was kismet, meaning when something is kismet, it means that meant to happen. Okay. So the book was called Silent Night. And that's one of my favorite Christmas carols. And I wanted to sing it for you all. I don't have music to it. I find music from the books. I didn't find music to back me up for Silent Night. So if you will indulge me, before my young ones, you go to sleep, I'd like to sing you this Christmas carol, Silent Night. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, shepherds quake at the sight. Glory stream from heaven above. Heavenly hosts sing Alleluia. Christ the Savior is born. Christ the Savior is born. Silent night, holy night, Son of God, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face. With the dawn of redeeming grace, Jesus, Lord, thy birth. Jesus, Lord, at thy birth. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Well, my friends, it is time to go to bed. I know that many of my young ones are trying to stay up as long as they can. Time to go to bed. So, from Miss Hope's reading to all of you, thank you so much for being here with me since April. Since April, you guys. Thank you so much for coming on every day and sitting and listening to the great stories that I have been honored to share with you. So, just to let you know, there will be a special Miss Hope's Reading Hour on Saturday where we will finish Who is Stealing the 12 Days of Christmas. That's all we're going to read so we can finish this, okay? And after that, Miss Hope's Reading Hour will take a little break and be back in January. I will post it to let you know when I will be back. Wait a minute, hold up. Let me check the calendar now. I want to make sure to tell you when I'm going to be back. So, Miss Hope's Reading Hour will be back on, drumroll please, Miss Hope's birthday on January the 6th. We will be back on a wonderful Wednesday to celebrate Miss Hope's birthday on January the 6th. With all that being said, thank you so much for you guys being here with me ever since April, ever since all of this crazy stuff happening and allowing me to give you some comfort and some fun and some really great stories. Until 2021, my wish for you, my prayer for you is just like Silent Night. Peace. Peace and love and joy and safety and health and all the things that you need and want and can give. Okay? Until next year, my friends. This is Miss Hope's Reading Hour. I'm so glad to be here with you every time I am. It is an honor and a privilege. I pray that you have the most wonderful Christmas, Kwanzaa, and whatever other holiday you celebrate, and a wonderful and prosperous and healthy and safe, kind and giving new year. Okay? Until the 6th, my friends, on that wonderful Wednesday. This is Miss Hope of Miss Hope's Reading Hour saying, see you next